Greetings all, this is Joe Dwyer, otherwise known as Daniel the Beagle's dad, a title that I used to chuckle at, but now I will tell you I take great pride in it. October 3rd, 2011, Daniel the Beagle survived the gas chamber. There were 17 other dogs in that chamber with him. Unfortunately, they all perished. Daniel, with the number 18, the Jewish number for life, was a moment in time for him. A moment in time and a defining moment at that. Well, just recently, we passed his 10-year anniversary of his survival. We all know Daniel did many good things, and those things continue under the name of Daniel's dream, because Daniel had a dream that every animal would have a loving home as he did. I have decided to introduce a presentation about the book of Daniel in the Bible. After all, he's Daniel's namesake. Today I'm going to give you what I call some hors d'oeuvres, or an appetizer of that talk. There is a main course, and if you're interested, please contact me. However, I'd like to talk a little bit about the book of Daniel, which was written in the year 250 BC, or about 2,500 years ago. And this book was written during turbulent times. And the prophet Daniel decided that he would use his words to ease the tensions of the time and bring some hope to the people through God's messages. Does that sound familiar? I'm sure it does. We live in turbulent times now. And Daniel the Beagle attempted to do the same thing. He absolutely, during turbulent times for animals and people, tried to use his messages and his ways of life to absolutely bring peace to difficult situations. The name Daniel means God is my judge. And maybe that's why Daniel the Beagle had such an amazingly good attitude. He worried not about anybody else's opinion of him. He knew God was his judge, but also his benefactor, his background, his life. And he used that for so much good in the world. Are Daniel the Beagle and Daniel the prophet the same individual? Well, maybe they are. But regardless, they both were amazing children of God that did amazing things. Without further ado, let's look at the first Bible passage from the book of Daniel that may help all of us come to a better place in life today. Daniel chapter 1, verse 17. God gave Daniel unusual knowledge and understanding, also to understand visions and dreams. Knowledge and understanding. How do we get it? We get knowledge and understanding through tests in school and through tests in life. And what we do with that knowledge and understanding is completely up to us. Daniel received his knowledge and understanding by surviving the gas chamber. What a test it was, and a test that, fortunately, none of us will probably have to endure. But what did he do with it? He did amazing things with his test, with his knowledge, and with his adversity. How about us? Let's look at the times back when we were tested or are tested. How do we react? I think sometimes we get in God's way with our fear, our anger, our lack of faith. Daniel's amazing attitude showed he did not do any of these things. He remained calm, he remained faithful, he remained strong and joy-filled. Maybe it's a good lesson for all of us to look ahead at the tests in life and how Daniel the Miracle Beagle's amazing survival can help us. To remain calm, to remain faithful, lessen our anger and angst during difficult times, and then take what we learn from our tests and put it into knowledge that helps others. Our next passage is Daniel chapter 2, verse 38. And whatever the children of men dwell, and even the beasts of the field, and the birds of the heaven, he has given them into his hand, and has made you ruler over them all. You are this head of God. This passage absolutely provides us with a message of don't get too important of yourself. God is ruler over all. He talks about the beasts of the field in this passage. He talks about all of us. Yes, some people are considered more important than others, but take what we have, take what you have as a child of God, as Daniel did, and just do the best you can with it. And respect everyone else. If you'll allow me, there's a great story to highlight this passage. See, in our local drugstore, Daniel and my other dogs were very well known, but especially Daniel. And when I would walk in there at any time, "Hey, how's Daniel doing?" they would interrupt talking to customers to talk to me about Daniel. Well, one day I walked in there and there was a local politician up at the counter ahead of me. Now, he is a prominent individual and his name will remain nameless to protect all of us. But he is a good person. And he has pictures of him with presidents posted on his Facebook page. He was up at the counter doing his business, and he was just about wrapped up when the woman behind the counter noticed me, and she said, "Hey, excuse me, Mr. So-and-so, out of the way. Daniel's dad needs to be served." Well, he turned around as a look of surprise on his face. Daniel's dad? And he knows me from town, and he chuckled and said, "Hey, how you doing?" and exchanged pleasantries and asked me how Daniel's doing. But the story points out that no matter how important we are really all the same in one very important respect. We are children of God, doing the best we can, or should be doing the best we can. And with that, so many are not held in high esteem as they should be. And these are the animals we share this planet with. So my hope has always been, through Daniel's life here on earth, that we could do more for the animals that we share the planet with, find more respect for them, give them more love and compassion that they truly deserve. Next passage that I'd like to read to you is from Daniel chapter 4, verse 16. Let his heart be changed from that of a man. Let him be given the heart of a beast. His heart be changed from that of a man to that of a beast. What is Daniel the prophet talking about here? Well, Daniel the Beagle can help with one of my favorite stories, and there's so many about Daniel the Beagle. See, he had this yellow bone. It was his favorite toy. He loved to go into the yard, grab this yellow plastic bone that has squeaker in it, toss it in the air, toss it at my feet so I would throw it to him. And he just looked as happy as he could ever be playing with his yellow bone. One day, unfortunately, along came our landscaper, and unlike every other day, we had not gathered the yellow bone and put it away. So I think you know what happened. The landscaper rolled over Daniel's bone and chopped it into many pieces. When I saw what had happened, I was absolutely horrified. I was so sad to see that Daniel's bone had been destroyed. And I wondered what would happen when he came out later that day. And then I learned what he did. You see, Daniel ran out and saw the pieces scattered in the yard, very small pieces. But then he ran into the bush and found a piece that had been chopped off, a bigger piece of the yellow bone. Certainly it was not what it once was, but Daniel pulled it out of the bush and played with it like nothing had happened. Even after his bone had been destroyed, he was satisfied and appreciative for what he had. This is the heart of a beast that we should acquire. And Daniel did this not only with his yellow bone, he did it with every moment of every day, a gift to be appreciated from God. How about us? Can we take a closer look at our heart? Because Daniel the Beagle's heart taught us many things, this being one of them that could benefit us every day. So I urge you to look at Daniel the Beagle's yellow bone and the possessions of your life and your life itself, and just be seriously happy with what we have. Our next passage is from Daniel chapter 9, verse 22. And he informed me and talked to me and said, O Daniel, I have now come forth to give you skill to understand. Give you skill to understand. You know, I always said from the very beginning, I said that I wasn't sure how Daniel was going to handle going to events and being popular. And I wasn't sure if he would be happy with it. And I was so wrong. He was thrilled with it. So I didn't hesitate to take him places because he was so happy doing it. But there was more. There was more. And I learned it when we went to the Rose Parade, arguably one of our top events ever. Something that was a once in a lifetime to ride on a float in the Rose Parade, Daniel as the star. It was a week long of events, many different interviews. The Rose Parade itself, the after parade, which was very big as well. And I could tell by looking at Daniel and taking care of him during that week and just enjoying every moment of it, that Daniel knew that he was doing something good. He may not have known exactly what it was, but he knew he was doing something good in every interaction. And he knew this because of his connection to God and to the people that he loved, which he loved everybody that he met. How about us? Sometimes we get into what's called a rut, right? We just don't see the good in what we're doing. Daniel never wavered on this his whole life. And we shouldn't either. We should look at the gifts that we have, what we have to offer, certainly work on them and use them for the good of others, and then, yes, absolutely appreciate and know that we're doing something good. This is yet another beautiful lesson from my boy Daniel the Beagle that we can take into our daily lives. Finally, Daniel chapter 12, verse 13. But you go your way till the end, and for you shall rest and arise to your inheritance at the end of the days. Now this passage is when Daniel the prophet was just about prepared to meet his death. And he's talking about rising, and this basically, although the word isn't there, he's talking about how love and dedication conquer all. And I can tell you, being with Daniel, as much as I was, and as much as I was wasn't enough, that he knew that love conquered all, just like Daniel the prophet knew. Even in turbulent times, even in difficult moments, even in adversity, love conquers all. And it stays with us as well. Love never fades, that is this strong. And Daniel the Beagle's love for this world and his mission will stay with us, because now we are infused with that love. We are infused with it and ready to carry it forward. I said from the beginning, as difficult as it was and still is, that his passing was not in vain, that we would all continue his mission, keep his memory alive, and do what we can to help the animals and people of this world that are in most need. I want to thank you so much. But before I go, I want to tell you that my book, God, Shelby, and Me, which talks about a connection between God, Shelby, and myself, and what it can do in positive ways for our world, as well as Daniel's connection with his sister Shelby, is available now on Amazon. And then, not long from now, my book about my buddy Daniel, A Conversation with Daniel, will be out as well, talking about his life and mission and what he loves so much. My sales from all of these books, and these 2 books and my others, part of the proceeds will go towards rescue that do so many good things for the animals and people of this world. So I'd ask for your continued support. And if you are interested in a larger version of this talk or a talk like this for your organization or group, please contact me at my website, joedwyerjr.com. I want to thank you for loving Daniel, for listening to me today, and as I said, for continuing to keep his memory alive, as we know we will, because love does conquer all, and we can make this a better world for animals and people. Take care, everyone.